On Monday, August 25, 2025, Mexico was overwhelmed by sudden and relentless floods that transformed entire regions into landscapes of chaos. Streets that only hours before had been filled with the rhythm of daily life were swallowed by rushing water. From bustling cities to quiet villages, the storm left its mark on everything it touched.
Ah, ¿tiene gente ese carro? Ese carro tiene gente adentro. ¿Cómo se encuentra? Voy a atravesarme tantito. Ahí vienen carros cargando chingados.
El S8 estaba ligado hasta el Borrego de Oro y hasta Valle.
This disaster unfolded as tropical moisture surged inland, colliding with an unstable atmosphere in the lingering heat of late summer. The perfect recipe for destruction had been set in motion. Torrential rains began falling across several states, overwhelming rivers, breaching drainage systems, and carving new channels of water through urban neighborhoods and farmland alike. Among the hardest hit areas were Baja California Sur, Sonora, and Sinaloa. Communities that had long struggled with limited infrastructure found themselves at the mercy of nature's force. Streets in La Paz became unrecognizable, while parts of Hermosillo and Mazatlan were cut off entirely as water levels rose at alarming speeds. Reports quickly emerged of families trapped inside their homes, vehicles carried away by torrents, and entire neighborhoods isolated. Some residents were reported missing during the chaos. Though search and rescue teams worked tirelessly, a number were later found but sadly did not survive. Each story reflected not just tragedy, but the fragility of life when confronted with the sudden power of nature. Emergency responders waded through chest-deep waters, while helicopters circled overhead, airlifting people stranded on rooftops. Local residents, too, became rescuers using ropes, boats, even makeshift rafts to reach their neighbors. It felt like the river had taken over the town, one survivor said, recalling how entire streets became rushing streams within minutes.
Ya aquí justamente en la avenida Eloy Cavazos, vean aquí los carros ya totalmente cubiertos por agua. La verdad que está como está.
Bridges collapsed, roads disintegrated, and power lines were ripped from the ground. Over 20,000 homes were reported damaged or left without electricity. Schools were forced to shut their doors, and in some districts, classrooms were discovered submerged in muddy water. Hospitals in Sonora and Baja California Sur had to activate emergency protocols, rerouting patients as access roads became impossible to navigate.
¿Tiene gente ese carro? Ese carro tiene gente adentro.
Mexico's Civil Protection Agency declared a state of emergency in multiple states, coordinating shelters for displaced families. Thousands of emergency workers supported by the military and volunteers were deployed to provide aid. Supplies of clean water, food, and blankets were rushed into makeshift shelters where families huddled together, waiting for the waters to recede.
Del personal de búsqueda y rescate. Si alguien requiere ser evacuado o auxiliado, hágase notar, por favor.
In Mazatlan, a mother described how she and her children clung to the roof of their home for hours before being rescued. In Hermosillo, a shopkeeper wept as she stood before the wreckage of her business, saying the flood had erased years of work in a single afternoon. And in La Paz, a nurse recounted walking through waist-high water to reach stranded patients, carrying supplies on her shoulders.
Está horrible, horrible, horrible.
Even as the rain slowed in some regions, the danger persisted. Swollen rivers continued to threaten communities downstream, while mudslides swept down unstable hillsides. Entire roads disappeared under cascades of earth and rock. The government urged residents to remain cautious, warning that many hazards remain hidden beneath the surface of floodwaters. Authorities credited advanced radar systems and mobile alerts with saving countless lives. Millions received emergency warnings on their phones, urging them to seek higher ground. Social media also became a lifeline, where communities shared updates, coordinated rescues, and offered words of comfort. Technology and human compassion worked hand in hand to reduce the toll of this disaster.
Estamos en la avenida San Agustín. El río de los Remedios está a punto de desbordarse. Un llamado urgente a las autoridades de protección civil de Naucalpan. Está a punto de desbordarse el río de los Remedios en la avenida.
No mames, güey. ¿Será que para acá? Hasta ahí ya no hay.
Experts reminded the nation that this flood is not an isolated event, but a symptom of a changing climate. Warmer air holds more moisture, fueling heavier downpours. Combined with expanding cities and aging infrastructure, Mexico's vulnerability to flash floods continues to grow. What we're witnessing is a future where extreme weather is no longer the exception, but the rule, said one climate researcher.
Impresionante lo que está pasando aquí en Satélite, debajo del puente de Walmart. Mucho cuidado para todas las personas que vienen. ¡No manches! ¡No manches tu vida! Ve esto, no fue. Ahí viene otro coche. ¡Aguas, aguas! Yo estoy mandándolo ahorita para...
By August 26th and 27th, cleanup operations had begun, but the struggle was far from over. Teams cleared debris, restored power, and assessed damage, while families searched for missing loved ones. Though some were found safe, others were located too late. Communities mourned quietly, even as they worked together to rebuild. Across Mexico, a spirit of resilience shone through the heartbreak.